Good evening. This is Robert Ricks with the National Weather Service Office in Slidell, Louisiana, with your weekly YouTube briefing. Right now, we're not expecting anything as much as far as impacts go for the upcoming week. It's going to be rather mild to even warm for November for deep south Louisiana and Mississippi, and that's a nice thing, I guess. The alternatives could be worse. We are continuing to watch a very busy tropical condition. We have Tropical Storm Eta out there, and also a couple of suspect areas that we are monitoring as well in the Atlantic and the Caribbean. So it seems like 2020 just does not want to relent anytime soon. So looking at our tropical weather outlook, here are the three areas of concern. We have Tropical Storm Eta. It's 65 miles an hour sustained winds with higher gusts over hurricane force. It's buffeting the South Florida tip right now around Homestead and some of the easternmost keys. It's forecasted, as we'll show you on the next slide, to eventually slip into the Gulf of Mexico and meander for quite some time the next few days. There's a suspect area that's just been bumped up to about a 40% chance of development. That's out in the open Atlantic, and the good news on that one is that one should be moving away from the Gulf of Mexico more towards Europe and northern Africa, and it may actually get a name at some point as either a subtropical storm or a tropical storm, depending on the characteristics at the time it is named, if it is indeed named at all. And then in the Caribbean Sea, there is a new area that's been outlooked. It has about a 30% chance of development over the next few days as it moves to the west towards. Right now, it looks like it's going to probably head into Central America around Belize, maybe skirt Honduras for a little bit. And this is coming off the heels of the very impactful life killer hurricane in Eta when it was Category 4 when it made landfall last week. So once again, the 2020 season, we're at named storm number 29. Looks like we might add number 30 and even possibly 31 in the upcoming days. So looking at Tropical Storm Eta in particular, you can see it's currently, and I have a satellite and radar picture we'll look at next, but you'll see that it's over the Keys. It's going to pretty much go broadside across the Keys overnight tonight, and possibly even become a hurricane as it skirts Key West and moves towards the dry Tortugas. Then things get a little bit interesting. The models all seem to be in very good agreement in that it wants to start moving to the southwest and even south towards the tip of Cuba, mull around down there for a little bit, and then start moving north once again. But in doing so, the steering currents become quite weak, and there's a great deal of uncertainty as to what happens once it does push that far south. There is a front that's going to be coming into the area, into our local area, middle of the week, say Wednesday time frame, but it looks like it's not going to have quite enough integrity to pull and jerk the system north too readily. So as the front weakens and pulls out of the area, it's kind of leave Eta somewhat stranded out there in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And with that comes a lot of excitement and angst, I'm sure, because it's going to be mulling around for most of the week. As you see this track here, even going into Friday, very late in the week, it's just indicated to make landfall in the upper part of Florida at this time. And even this is not a certainty. You can see the cone of uncertainty extends from roughly Panama City to the west, all the way down to about the middle of the Cape Canaveral area to the east on day 5. So quite a bit of uncertainty still, and it, even though it doesn't look like it poses a threat locally, we're going to keep an eye on it because after all, it is 2020 and it's been a crazy year. But right now we're going to say no local impacts are currently expected given the latest forecast track. Looking at a loop, this is a composite loop of both the satellite imagery currently. You can see the donut-shaped circulation just off the Keys right now and moving to the west. They'll be scraping right across the Keys overnight and early morning Monday. And on the right side, you can see this is a radar loop that's coming out of the Key West office, and you can clearly see a closed circulation there. But it is somewhat devoid of deeper convection, deeper showers and thunderstorms near the center. So it's still, I think, worthy of the classification of a tropical storm. It seems like it's a formidable tropical storm in structure, but it's lacking the deeper storms and that it would need to give it the greater intensity of a hurricane just yet. That's not to say that once it does move over into the warmer waters of the Gulf of Mexico that it will intensify. And in fact, it is forecast to do so, a minimal hurricane at best. So in summary, we're looking at locally no real weather impacts expected for the upcoming week. There is going to be a front that comes into the area. It's going to be hard to call it a cold front because actually temperatures are just getting bumped back down to near normal for a day or two. And then a warming trend ensues where we're probably going to be pushing 80s in some area by next weekend. Rainfall is going to be quite limited even with the front. And some of that is due to the interactions of the circulation around Eta. Is going to kind of dry things out on the backside of it over our area. Tropical Storm Eta may become a hurricane soon in the Gulf of Mexico, so we'll keep an eye on it. And the rest of the tropics continues to remain active with a couple of suspect areas being monitored for possible developments over the next coming days, one in the Caribbean as we saw and one out in the open Atlantic. So that's all we have for this week. We hope you have a happy and safe week, and I'd like to commend our veterans on Veterans Day this weekend. And hope everyone has a nice week ahead.